Okay, hello again. So I was just getting done introducing the colors that I had here, and I don't think I even got all the way through, but my phone stopped recording. So I've been recording a couple of videos today that had this issue, so I'm trying to wrap those up. And I had to stop and do an update on my phone, and that seems to have solved the problem. So the good news is you'll be able to see these first three swatches completely dry. Just to recap, so this is Brilliant Pink by Shinhan Pass. This is Shell Pink by Shinhan Pass. This is Jaune Brilliant. And then I'm going to go on to the Lilac and the Compose Blue. And then I've also put a little bit of this PWC greenish yellow here on the paper, and then this is Rembrandt Burnt Sienna. And then I don't think I got to introduce this. This is the Roman Schmal watercolor called Naples Yellow Reddish. And I actually did not follow previous advice to put this in the freezer to take the little wrapper off the top because it was pretty well stuck on. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get the color off of the top wrapper here because I don't like to waste paint ever, even if it's just a little. And we'll go from there. So the advantage of this, there are a few advantages to having this broken up this way. Let me push these colors off to the top here. Like I said, you're going to be able to see these three colors completely dry, and you get to see the texture of them. Oop, that slid off. See the texture of them when they are completely dry, which is very matte. So they are definitely more matte than I would say most watercolor when it's dry. Like here's an example, although that's pretty matte, but it just seems pretty even and matte. The second advantage is that you will get to see how these reconstitute when they are somewhat dry, because these three were done right out of the tube, because these are combination watercolor gouache. So they have some of the aspects of watercolor and they have some of the aspects of gouache. And these Shinhan Pass colors are really, really inexpensive actually, but given the first three swatches, I'm pretty impressed with these. I'd never tried them before. I'd had them on my wish list for quite a while actually, and just hadn't gotten them because they were out of stock so often at Jackson's. So I was kind of happy to finally get them, and they're normally pretty inexpensive, and with the sale they were, you know, kind of a no-brainer to just go ahead and get them. So let me go ahead and wet my brush. This might take a little bit of time to reactivate this because it has dried a little bit, although it seems to reactivate pretty well. I may have to do a little bit of scrubbing at the end to get that fully dissolved, but this is also kind of an indication of how this will work when they are in pans. So I do think it's going to work pretty well in pans. And I think just that top layer was kind of dry. There is still some wet underneath. This is maybe half hour later from the earlier video. It took a while to reboot my phone and update it. So let me see if I can dissolve that a little bit, because I kind of want this to be the same as the other swatches where you get sort of a really saturated amount of color here at the top, and then we kind of blend down into a watered down version. So this is the Lilac here. That's probably about as good as we're gonna get there. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and rinse off my brush. My water is getting pretty murky, by the way. So I think there is a pretty decent amount of white in these. And I'm not sure, I was just looking at these and they have a light fastness rating of 2 stars. And I don't know what Shinhan's light fastness ratings are. I'm guessing that these are probably not super light fast, but if I were you, I'd look into that a little bit more because I do not, I don't have that information handy. So the fact that it is saying to keep out of direct sunlight, I'm guessing that they're not completely light fast. So the pigments in this pink one here, this is PR209 and PW6, so basically a red and a white. For the shell pink, we have PR48:3. That's one I've never seen. PO16 and PW6. Then with the Jaune Brilliant, it is PO20 and PW6. And then with the Lilac, we have PR122 and PW6. So that's interesting. So this, oh no, that's one, this was 209, this is 122. I was thinking they were the same pigment, but they are not. Okay, so this next one is Compose Blue. I think I kind of put the purple a little close there. So I'm gonna try and go this way a little bit. And I'm using more water than I probably would if this were completely wet than if it was dry. So I'm just going to work on reactivating that and getting it a little bit more opaque up here. So this one is PB15:3 and PG7. So that's very interesting. I'm not seeing white on the list, but I would be surprised if this did not have some white in it. I'm wondering if that's sort of a misprint, because I can see how it would be PB15:3, which is phthalo blue, and PG7, which I believe is phthalo green. But I would expect to see some white in here, because this definitely looks, first off, opaque. And I think I'm going to leave it at that, and then I'm going to add some water down here. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this has white in it, and I would guess that it's PY6, kind of like the others. So let's see. I think I might just end up leaving that little bit of extra pigment here undissolved. I can always come back and reactivate it and use it somewhere else. Okay, so that's the end of the Shinhan Pass watercolor gouaches. So I think you could kind of use them interchangeably. If you water them down, you can, like, this one's really pretty watered down, I think. And so, you know, I think they all look pretty watered down. So I think they're pretty versatile. And I think the only thing to really watch out for is light fastness. And you're going to get opaque, obviously, as opposed to transparent with these. So let's go on to a more standard watercolor with this PWC greenish yellow. So this again, I think this is Shinhan as well. Yeah, this is Shinhan as well. And this also says 2 stars. So again, I'm not quite sure what their light fastness ratings are. So again, you know, check that out. So this is PY129. This is really pretty, sort of chartreuse, more on the side of green gold. This is really, really nice. And I'm going to try and reactivate most of this so that we can draw that down. I want to get it pretty pigmented. So I put all of these down at the same time. So these two pretty much completely dried here while they were sitting. And there you go. That's really pretty. I really like that a lot. Okay, and then the next color we have is this Rembrandt Burnt Sienna, and this looked like a burnt sienna color I would like, so we'll see. This is PBR7, so burnt siennas are made with different pigments and sometimes a combination of pigments, but this one is PBR7, and I would, yeah, so light fastness of 1, which is their highest light fastness rating, I think. And then this is Series 1, meaning it's the most inexpensive of their line. All right, so let's see. Because I tend to like burnt siennas that go a little bit orangey as opposed to, you know, more brown. And this seems to be have a little bit of an orange tint. Right now, I'm currently, burnt sienna is one of those colors that I have in pretty much every palette. It's sort of a standard, at least a mixing palette. And currently I'm using the Holbein burnt sienna, which I really like actually, but this seems like it might be similar and maybe a good alternative. The Holbein is not granulating, and I think this one is slightly, so that's a difference there. All right, so I'm now going to go on to this Naples Yellow Red. Let's see what it's called. Is that what it's called? Naples Yellows Reddish by Roman Schmal. And then this is, let's see what, dropping things on the floor here. Let me grab that. Okay, it was a nib I had on my table. All right, for fountain pen. All right, so this has a lot of pigments in it. This is PW6, PY53, PBR24, and PR264. So we've got some reds and yellows and brown and white in here, so a lot. One thing that is kind of nice about these colors, since they are a little tacky, is that they dry super, super fast. I mean, they re-wet super fast is what I meant to say. And whenever I have this extra here on the cover that comes off of the pan, I always use it. I don't throw it away if there's some paint on there. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit of water so I can get some draw down here. Okay, and that's really pretty. That's actually more yellow than I'm used to for a Naples yellow reddish, but I think it's a really pretty hue there. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and lift these up to the camera after I've rinsed out my brush. My water is very pink. I think that first pink was very pigmented. So you're getting these completely dry because of the dry time. So here we have Brilliant Pink. These are these here are all Shinhan Pass, which is gouache, a hybrid of gouache and watercolor. So this one is Brilliant Pink. This one is Shell Pink. I think I like the Shell Pink a little bit better. It skews a little bit more orange than this one, but they're both really pretty. This next one is Jaune Brilliant, which I thought would be similar. Oops. Yes, when it's wet, your fingerprint shows. I thought it would be somewhat similar to the Naples Yellow Reddish, but I actually think that they're quite different. Well, if for no other reason than this is transparent and this is opaque, and this I think has a little bit of a more of a pinkish hue than this one does. All right, and then this one is Lilac, which I actually think is a little dark for a lilac. And then this is Compose Blue, which has a little bit of green in there, so it's more like a teal. Really, really pretty. And then this is just a gorgeous color. This is a color that I have really been drawn to lately. This is Greenish Yellow by Shinhan PWC. That's their professional line. And then this one is Rembrandt Burnt Sienna. I'm going to kind of hold my judgment until this completely dries. I do think that it is the color tone that I like. I'm just not sure whether I'm going to like the qualities of this better than the Holbein Burnt Sienna, but we'll see. And I can always use a burnt sienna, so this is going to be no problem. All right, and then this is the Roman Schmal Naples Yellow Reddish, and this is a really beautiful color. And it may not have been captured on the prior video. I've really been drawn to more opaque watercolor and more pastel tones of watercolor. So basically watercolor that has a lot of white in it. I'm not sure if it's because it's approaching spring or what, but I've been playing a lot more with some opaque watercolors. I think there's a lot of purists out there who don't, for watercolor purposes, they don't like their watercolor to be opaque. They want, because a lot of the idea of a watercolor is that the light of the paper shines through the watercolor. You can definitely see that effect with something like this that is a transparent watercolor. Whereas you can't really see that for these. You can see it when it's watered down. And even this one, you can see it shining through. And this one, you can see it a little bit less because it does have some white in it. And these, you know, up here, you're getting a pretty much completely opaque look. So it's really just what you like. I personally, I don't like to stick to rules if I want to play around with color and watercolor. I think the rules are important, and it's important to kind of know the basics, but I also think that you can just have a lot of fun with watercolor and experience things and discover what you like. So that's what this is here. All right, so that's all I had for you today. Feel free to ask any questions below, just in case something got missed in the transition between videos. Ask me questions and I will answer as soon as I can. That won't always be right away, but I do my best. All right, and please feel free to subscribe to keep track of future videos on my channel. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like. I hope to see you next time, but in the meantime, have a great day. Thanks so much. Bye.